Am I the a-hole? I had a fight with my ex over her affair child. Our son picked it up and is now rejecting his half-brother. I, 38 male, had a fight with my ex-wife, 41 female, about her child Sam, 7 male, and need an outside opinion. We have a son together, Jake, 9 male, but Sam is not mine. Our divorce was caused by my wife's infidelity, and I told my ex up front when she was pregnant that I will never take any responsibility for Sam, not emotionally nor financially. However, I've figured my emotion out and got them in order to protect my son Jake, and that includes accepting Sam as his little half-brother and allowing him on special events to visit me and Jake. Our custody agreement is clear. Every second weekend, Jake visits his mom. So, my son had his birthday last month, where I allowed Sam and X to visit and celebrate with us. It wasn't something big because of the global situation, just about 15 people, Jake's friends and some family members. Sam loves to mimic Jake, and when he saw him calling me dad, he started to call me dad too. I spoke with him calmly and told him that I don't want to be called dad by him, but he's allowed to call me by my name. When he had asked why, I explained that he is not my child and I am not his dad. Then he asked me who his father is, and I respond that I don't know. He then ran to my ex and asked who his father is, but my ex just sent him back to me to ask. So I just told him that his mom doesn't know it either, but I'm not his dad, and again he should call me by my name. Nothing more happened on that day, because even I noticed my ex trying a crappy move on me, but I just ignored it. The problem is Sam has told this to his school friends, as the class have played a game where they talked about their family. I had to say, here, some children are pure evil, because now some of Sam's classmates have started bullying him, and calling him a bastard, and worse. My ex called me about it, but I just told her that she has to fight over this with Sam's teacher and the other kids' parents, because it is not my problem. She then started yelling at me on the phone, and it is my fault, and called me some names. I responded that I have noticed what she tried to pull at Jake's birthday party, and that his problem wouldn't exist if she could just keep her legs closed for other men, and then told her she should try to find Sam's actual father if she wanted a man to take care of her son. X involved our parents in this fight, and now my mom is nagging me over this and sides with X. However, I was not gentle with her either when she called me. Note that my mom wanted a daughter since forever, and saw my wife as her first daughter. That's why I'm in low contact with her, because she tried to force me to forgive my ex. Now, here is why I might be an a-hole. My son have picked up this whole mess. It is now mean to his little brother and stopped playing with him and teases him as well. I actually have made an appointment with a therapist to solve this, but I don't think I can solve it on my own. Am I the a-hole here? Edit. I can't be the father of Sam as it's medically impossible. Also, a court-ordered paternity test confirmed that I am not the father. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. 1. You're not Sam's father and having him call you by first name is totally fine. 2. You're civil and have tried to keep Sam in Jake's life. 3. You're civil with X despite the history and her recent attempts at trouble. 4. Jake picking up on it seems an accident. However, you need to be more careful to prevent your son from hearing future arguments with your ex. OP, do not manipulate custody time with your ex to reward/punish your ex, certainly without talking to your lawyer first. Not an a-hole. X needs to take responsibility for her actions. She shouldn't have told Sam to go back to you for an answer. Speak with your son and get him into therapy, and they'll help to explain the reasons why he's being mean. Your mom and X are the a-holes here. Probably want to turn OP into a father figure. Not an a-hole. Not an a-hole for not allowing Sam to call you dad. But you need to realize that Sam is innocent. It's not his fault that his mother cheated on you. You should talk to Jake. Don't allow him to be horrible to his younger brother. Right. That was my only problem with the story. It seems that there are things he should be saying to his ex. He is choosing to say these things to a child instead. He's not an a-hole, but Sam isn't an a-hole either. He is a kid being put between two adults. Next story. Am I the a-hole for taking my son on a trip I knew his step-siblings wanted to go on? My ex and I have a son, Kai, 11. Ex and I broke up when he was 2 and my ex married his wife when Kai was 6. There was a lot of mess in Ex's house regarding his ex step-kids, Mia and Logan, both 12. From what I gather, their dad has been bad-mouthing my ex and Kai from the beginning and poisoned the kids against them. So I've always been hesitant to not do stuff that could be seen as me rubbing things in their faces. Because of the costly back and forth in courts between his wife and her ex, my ex could not afford to do big things with the kids. Kai had mentioned this trip that his step-siblings wanted to go on before. He told me he'd love to go, but really hoped they wouldn't go together because he didn't want to go with them, because they wouldn't want him there and he didn't like being around them. During the final week of school, some of me and Logan's friends were very cruel to Kai, and me and Logan were standing around laughing with him. At one point, it turned very dark, and the principal called the parents of all involved students. What transpired was Logan and me had told their friends something about Kai. That and just general kid bull was used to make him feel like crap. I was pissed. After the incident, I decided I needed to stop catering to the stuff my ex couldn't do with the kids, and just do whatever regardless of whether Mia and Logan dreamed of doing it. So I took my son on a trip to the place he told me he wanted to go to, but not with his step-siblings. He had a great time, and I told him as long as he didn't brag or rub it in, we'd done nothing wrong, because he worried a bit that Logan and Mia would be mad. X found out about it because Kyle left a small trinket in his bag from the trip, and X found it. X then called me and asked me why I took Kai there, and I said because Kai wanted to go. X said his stepkids wanted to go too, and why would I take Kai someplace they'd likely wanted to go? I said I don't care. I could take my son where I wanted. He told me it made me an a-hole because his stepkids have feelings too. He doesn't know I knew they wanted to go, but am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole with caution. As a former middle school principal and parent, I can tell you that the stepchildren are at an age where bullying especially rears its ugly head. Parents tell the victim to ignore it, walk away, etc. But Kai can't do that if he lives there and goes to school with them. Personally, I document everything, especially the school incident. I communicate with Kai a lot on how he's doing. I've successfully used a 1 to 10 scale. After explaining, a 1 is I need help now and 10 is everything is amazing. I'd ask, what are you today? And I'd get a baseline. What I'd look for is a trend. Hopefully with strategies, support in any form, and time, the days are more 7 to 10s than 2 to 5s. I used this over my career with students and my own children during hard times. If yesterday was 4 and today's a 5, I'd concentrate on how it was better than yesterday and concentrate on tomorrow. This also worked very well for me when assessing my daughter's deep depression in 8th grade. It was bad, and I needed some kind of baseline for when I needed to go extreme parenting. It happened, and I put her in counseling. She's great now, early 20s. So for UOP, I'd keep some kind of data/notes to see if there comes a time that you need to revisit the boundaries of custody. Maybe they should only be at their dad's when the other kids are out of the house. I'd say tough parenting ahead. You may really have to step up and be the bad guy by forcing change to protect Kai. The trip itself I see as a positive for Kai to make sure he knows he's special and not doing anything wrong. But the caution, those kids will hate him more now and will look for ways to make him hurt, mental and maybe more. They will weaponize their peers and family against Kai. Bullies are some of the smartest and manipulative children I've ever worked with. They know who is where and they capitalize on weakness. Here's where your ex fits in. Enough said. Good luck, and I'm glad Kai had something positive to do. My guess is those days with you are really high in the scale. Totally not the a-hole. And piggybacking off this post, a friend currently has a client who is going through the same thing. Ex remarried a horror show with a horror show daughter who tortures client's kid. They took X back to court and they just rendered a decision that new wife and her kid have to leave the house for the duration of visitation. That is something you might want to look into. Your ex probably can't afford a legal fight on both ends, so he's likely to cave. Not the a-hole. It is not even close. What a nightmare for your kids who have old step-siblings that are bullies. You don't owe them any special treatment and especially not awesome trips. Even if the step-siblings weren't that, there's no good reason to deprive your son of trips just because their own family can't take those same trips. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for using some of my stepson's camp savings to buy a replacement sneakers for my son? My son Chris' 16th birthday was weeks ago. His mom, my ex-wife, couldn't be with him due to work but sent him a pair of Adidas sneakers as his birthday gift, as Chris is a runner and he enjoys running every day as a way to relieve stress and anxiety. My stepson Jake, 17, saw the sneakers and said they looked like the ones his favorite artist Kane Brown was wearing in Famous Friend's music video, and so he got so hung up on them, always asking Chris to see them and try them on. Chris let him see them but not wear them because Jake has bigger feet and he was worried he might ruin them. Jake wanted to wear the sneakers in front of his friends, but Chris didn't let him leave the house with them. Jake ended up sneaking out with them a couple of times, which made Chris hide them from him since he kept taking them without permission. Jake was no longer able to sneak out wearing the sneakers and begged Chris to let him wear them one last time at a party his friends had. Chris said no, but Jake somehow was able to locate the sneakers. But instead of going out with them, he cut them with a hand pruner and kept them in his room while Chris and I looked for them, till his mom found them. Chris saw the damage and was upset. I grounded Jake and promised Chris to get a replacement. But when his mom called to tell me those sneakers are worth $600 and had to be replaced, I was in utter shock. I saw the receipt, and even then, I couldn't believe it, because $600 is way more than I can afford. Chris's mom is a cardiologist, so she can afford this stuff, but I obviously can't. I was fuming. I let Jake know how much he messed up, and told him I will be replacing the sneakers using the money saved for his week-long summer camp. Jake had a meltdown and said he was already punished and that it wasn't fair to punish him further. My wife thought I exaggerated and talked about how important summer camp is for Jake as he's been waiting for it for months. I let her know that Chris's mom is rightfully upset her gift for him got ruined, and because Jake acted out of spite and maliciousness, then it's only fair that he pay for replacement. My wife assured me if Jake knew those sneakers were that expensive, he would have never ever touched them but thought Chris wasn't letting him borrow them on purpose. What's done is done, and I made my decision final. But now both my wife and Jake are giving me the silent treatment and refusing to talk about it. My wife thinks it's crazy to spend $600 on new sneakers. I agree, but those aren't mine, so needed replacement. So am I the a-hole? Edited to add that because Chris's mom sends somewhat expensive items to Chris, Jake would sometimes feel jealous, which is understandable, but I make sure to treat both boys equally by getting them equal stuff. My wife thinks that Chris should be sharing with his brother, and he does, but there are things that just cannot be shared. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Seems like Jake is learning a hard lesson that actions have consequences. I am unsure where your wife is coming from. It doesn't matter how expensive the shoes were. Her son destroyed someone else's property. Maybe this will teach him to not destroy others' belongings before it becomes something super serious. Like some here have pointed out, I think that Jake did have an idea how expensive the sneakers were, since he mentioned they looked like the ones his favorite singer wore in a music video. Another thing is that Chris's mom is upset over what happened and she has every right to be. $600 is a lot. And even though I personally wouldn't or couldn't spend that much in sneakers, it's her money that she worked for. So I think it's fair to be expecting a replacement. Exactly. Honestly, I don't see a case where you are the a-hole. I wasn't even thinking about Jake actually knowing or not. Just pointing out your wife's point of, if he knew how expensive they were, he wouldn't have destroyed them, is kinda moot. Even if the shoes were $20, they still aren't his. Good luck, Opie. I think you're doing the right thing. Her statement about Chris not letting Jake borrow the shoes on purpose is also weird. Like, Chris has the right to not let his stuff out. Jake doesn't get to borrow something just because he asks. It's not just the shoes. Because Chris's mom sends expensive items to Chris, my wife thinks that Chris should be generous and share with his brother, which he does. He shared his Xbox and other things. But shoes aren't to be given for any reason, no matter how nice they looked. Your wife is an a-hole, dude. She's jealous of your ex and wants to make your son share the wealth without any of them deserving it. You picked a real winner here. Your son doesn't need a reason to not let others use his stuff. It's his. It belongs to him. She wants nice things for her kids. She needs to work for them. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not leaving my newborn twins and toddler while my sister had a meeting? I, 23 female, have a 2-year-old son and 2-month-old twins. I am a stay-at-home mom, and my sister, 25 female, who is in grad school, has been staying with us while her apartment building gets fumigated. She had a meeting with one of her professors to talk about some stuff regarding a project, and set up her laptop in the kitchen. It's worth noting that the kitchen is right off the children's play area/bedroom, and she also has a bedroom all to herself that has a desk, and the Wi-Fi is decent in. About 5 minutes into her meeting, my 2-year-old who was playing with his toy trucks got hurt and started crying. He wasn't even having a tantrum, just crying because he got hurt. After a few minutes, my sister excuses herself from her meeting for a moment and yells at me to take the kids out of the house and that she needs total silence. I told her I wasn't going to take my 3 small children out by myself with no stroller, which was unfortunately left in the car my husband took that morning. She has been telling me all week that I ruined her meeting and that I need to get my children under control. My parents agree that I was being unreasonable. Am I the a-hole? If she isn't happy with your children behaving like children in their home, she can stay at a hotel, with your parents or with other friends. Not the a-hole. You can't set up shop in a living space and then be upset when the children who live there behaves as children. Yep, not the a-hole. It's completely unreasonable for the sister to stay over in a house with kids and expect total silence. She has a hell of a nerve trying to kick Opie out of the house for the whole day instead of moving outside, or even to her bedroom, herself. Not the a-hole. People who work from home have to find quiet spaces all the time for meetings and such. She could have taken that meeting in her room, or she could have sat outside herself. I do it all the time. I have a coworker who takes calls in her car. There are also apps that will completely cancel out background noise as well, and a few of my coworkers use that when finding a quiet space is impossible. She's a guest in your home. You are doing her a favor. She has no right to tell you how to live in your house, and if the meeting was that important, she would have made sure to set up in a reliably quiet space like the grown adult she is. I take meetings in a tiny closet or in the garage. It's the wild, wild west out here competing for quiet meeting spaces in our house. Not the a-hole, Opie. Not the a-hole. This work from home thing has been going on for 18 months. Supervisors, bosses, professors, co-workers are all used to this and are generally unfazed. Your sister is incredibly entitled to expect you to pick up your young children and leave your home for her. Your mother is way out of line and needs to be told to mind her own business. Tell your sister that if the accommodations don't meet with her approval, she can find another hotel more to her liking.